Let's start with how to find Syft's KPI scorecard section. So to find it, you're going to click on Analyze, and then you'll see the very first option there is KPI scorecards. And if you click on that, it'll take you to the standard view of the KPI scorecard section. We'll now go and take a deeper look at what's available within KPI scorecards. So what is so great about KPI scorecards? Well, the greatest thing about these scorecards is just how customizable they are. You can design as many scorecards as you would like to illustrate your organization's health according to the criteria that suit your organization the best. So here are some of the standout features. Firstly, as I mentioned, you can have multiple scorecards and you can view these scorecards for multiple different periods. So you could do that by changing the date selected up here or by viewing Syft standard or multi-period view. And within the multi-period view, you'll see you can see these metrics over time, as well as some beautiful graphs to see how those metrics are tracking. The next great feature is layouts for scorecards. So if you click on these three dots over here, you can go and assign a specific layout from the profit and loss and the balance sheet that will apply to your layout. And this is really useful if you've gone and built custom equations or groupings or categories within your profit and loss and balance sheet layouts, and you don't want to have to go and rebuild those in an equation. You can just apply that specific layout to this KPI scorecard, and then when you build out the scorecard, which we'll show you in a later video, you won't have to go and recreate that grouping or that equation, but instead you can just pull it because you have assigned that layout to the KPI scorecard. So a really powerful feature. The next great feature is that you can compare to budget, forecast, or targets. So over here, you'll see we are currently comparing to targets, and so we can see that target over here. In this view, we'll also see the importance, and we'll also see this health status. But we can also go compare to those prior, and you'll note that it changes slightly. We now can see the current prior with the variance and variance percentage. We could also compare to prior last year. And if you have a budget or forecast pulling through from your accounting provider or one you've created on Syft, you can then click on either verse budget or forecast, go and select the budget you would like to compare to, and then you can go and compare the actual metrics that you have as compared to budget, see how you are tracking, whether you're outperforming or underperforming, and also see a variance percentage. So really great to compare not just to targets, but also to budget and forecast. The other really great feature is that this card is completely customizable. So within the build view, you can not only go and add new criteria or add formats like headings or spaces, but you can also go and move around metrics. So if you want them to be in a different order, you can just go move them around. You can also go and add headings and a whole bunch of other things, or go delete any metrics you don't like, or even go and edit the formulas of any metrics that are there to make sure that they are applicable to your organization. Finally, you can go and visualize any of these KPI scorecards within our Visualize KPI and Account section. So here within this KPI scorecard tab, you can go and find any of those KPIs that you've previously created. You can go select one of the many scorecards you created, select one or several metrics, and then you can go and visualize them and see how you are tracking. So you just need to set up those KPI scorecards once, and then you can use them in multiple different ways, from visualizations like these to the KPI scorecard table, where you can go and compare to multiple different aspects as well.
If none of the pre-built templates works for you, you can go and build your own KPI scorecard by selecting the plus icon and then start from scratch. You can rename this scorecard by clicking on the pencil icon. I'll rename it to Important Metrics. You will notice that it takes you straight to the build mode, where you can add criteria. This works in the same way as when you add criteria to an already existing template in the build mode, where you can build custom equations. Name the equation, such as gross profit. Select the format. Specify the decimal points. And create the equation. Click on Next and set the importance, as well as the targets. You can also select whether the criteria should scale with a change in period by using this toggle button. Click on Save. You will then see your metric in the build mode. Go to the table view mode to see your metric, where you can compare it to target, prior last year, budget, or forecast. You can add as many metrics to the scorecard as you like. As with other KPI scorecards, you can set the scorecard as your default by clicking on the star button. When clicking on these three dots, you can also assign layouts, duplicate the scorecard, or delete the scorecard.
Within KPI scorecards, you'll note that there are cards above the table, and these differ depending on what you selected. So when we're looking at those prior, last year, budget, or forecast, they'll give us 3 key metrics and how they have moved when we're in the standard view. Within the multi-period view, these will change to little graphs that will give you a good view as to how these metrics have changed over time. Then back in standard, if you choose versus target, this will give you a health status and your health score based on the targets and if you have achieved them. But how can you go and customize these metrics? Well, firstly, you can't go and customize what shows in the versus target section because this is set as your health score. But if you go and change the comparative to versus prior or one of the other options, and you go and click on any of these metrics, you'll note this little icon here. And if it's in green, that means that this metric is currently being used in one of these cards. You'll note gross profit margin, operating expense ratio, and net profit margin are all the cards that are shown here. But if, for example, we wanted to show our current ratio, we could click on that icon here, and you'll note that my current ratio is now showing instead. So you can go and change which cards are displayed at the top here by just hovering over the metric you want to add, and then clicking on that little box, and it will go and make it the metric that you would like. And then this is going to pull through to that multi-period view as well. So now we can see those new ratios, and you'll note that you can go and change them in this multi-period view as well. And so if we wanted our data days instead, we could just click on that as well. So that's how you can go and customize the cards at the top of your KPI scorecards and what will display in the standard and multi-period view when you compare to versus prior, last year, budget, or forecast, or when you compare to target, which is where you will go and see your health status and health scores. So as you can see, you can go and add some visualizations to the scorecard through the use of these cards. Syft's KPI scorecards have 2 different views. Currently, we'll be looking at them in the standard view, and this is when you choose the time period you're looking at using the universal date selector and what you're comparing to over here. But we can also look at it in terms of a multi-period view. So if you click on multi-period, you'll then see that things look a little bit different. So here we'll be able to see monthly data ending in September 2024. Over here we can see how many months we're looking at. So we're currently looking at 12. So if we scroll to the right, we'll see 12 months, and the last one is September 2024. We're currently comparing to targets, and so for each metric, it tells us if we've met this target each month with a little tick or a cross, and we can go and see what that target is on the right hand side over here. If we compare to prior, you'll see it will just give us the metrics over various months, and if we compare to budgets, you'll see it gives us each month compared to its budget for that month. So the same would apply for forecast. At the top here we have some cards, and when you're in the standard period, these will show you your health status when you're looking at those targets, and when you're looking at any of the other comparatives, it will show you a few key metrics. Within the multi-period view, you'll see that these change to show you various metrics over time, so you can see how these metrics are trending. Within the show option here, we can choose if we want to show KPI explanations and these header cards. So if they're toggled on, it will be showing them, and if we were to toggle these off and click save, you'll note that the cards and the explanations at the bottom are no longer visible, and then they won't appear in your report. And so that's what is visible when you're in the multi-period view within KPI scorecards. In this module, we addressed how you can build tailored scorecards that align closely with your business objectives. whether by comparing metrics to budgets or forecasts or setting up multi-period views to track performance over time. Remember, KPI scorecards